Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Simplified Basic Concepts. In this video, I'm going to discuss about organizing. Now, organizing is the second function of management, and the first function of management is planning, which I have discussed in my previous videos. The topics which I'll be covering in this video is concept of organization, organizing and organizational structure, principles, purpose and importance of organizing, and the steps that are involved in the process of organizing. So let's begin with organization. Now let's brush up our concept about organization. We know that organization is a system where the inputs plus process gets converted into the outputs, and the inputs for the organization are men, that is the human resources which works in an organization, the money, materials, machineries, etc. When these inputs pass through certain processes, then they get converted, that is they are able to produce outputs, and the outputs are goods and services. So according to Chester I. Bernard, organization is a system of consciously coordinated activities of two or more persons, right? So organization, it can be a company or an institution or any association where there are one or more people and they all have a particular purpose to do. Then that system is called as organization. Clear? Then what is organizing? Organizing is the second function of management, right? It follows planning, which is the first function of management. So organizing is a function in which synchronization and combination of human, physical and financial resources takes place. Now let's understand what is organizing. We all have heard of this word organizing in our day-to-day life, right? We are being said several times to organize our activities, organize our day, organize our routine. So it simply means that to keep it in a proper way or to arrange things, right? That is called as organizing. In the same way, when we talk in context of organization, when all the inputs which we discussed earlier, that is men, material, money, are being organized, are being arranged in a better way, that is called as organizing, right? So in this function of management, the basic focus of the management is to arrange all the inputs and the processes of the organization, right? And the inputs are men, material, money, that is they'll be organizing human, physical and financial resources. So all of the three resources are very important to get the result. That's why organizational function helps in achievement of results when all of these three resources are synced properly, right? So according to Chester Bernard, organizing is a function by which the concern means organization, is able to define the roles, positions, jobs related to and coordinated between authority and responsibility. Hence, a manager always has to organize in order to get results, right? So Chester Bernard says that organizing function means the roles, positions and the jobs that are related to the employees that are important for the organization should be clearly defined. That who will be performing the role, what is the position of the employees, and what is the coordination between the authority and responsibility, that is who is in authoritative position, how much authority does he have, and how he passes on the authority to his juniors. Everything, when everything is being clearly explained, then that is the process of organizing, right? Now, organizational structure is simply the pattern of division of the roles and responsibilities of the employees in the organization. Thus, organizational structure explains the roles and tasks each employee has to perform. It also depicts the hierarchy in which the members of organization rank themselves. Now, we earlier discussed about organization as a system, right? And organizing is a process, a function of management in which the things about the roles, responsibilities are explained. Now, organizational structure is simply putting the diagrammatically the roles, positions which are being defined, which are being clarified in the second function of management, which is organizing. When that is diagrammatically depicted, when it can be seen, the hierarchy, that is the levels can be seen, that is called as organizational structure. So organizational structure determines the roles, powers, responsibilities that are assigned, controlled and coordinated, and how the information flows between the different levels of management, right? So when things are decided in organizing, when they are being implemented and a structure is formed as per the implementation of organizing function, that structure is called as organizational structure. So organizational structure is a formal network of reporting or controlling relationships in an organization and the power and duties associated with each role in this network, right? Now this is a diagrammatic representation of organizational structure. So this figure shows the structure in which the roles, responsibilities of a particular organization is arranged. So we see here that the top level authority here is CEO, right? And under the CEO there are 3 vice presidents, and under the vice president finance there are accounts manager and audit manager, and under the vice president marketing there is regional manager. And this hierarchy will follow on to many more levels, but I have shown till here to get an understanding about the organizational structure, right? So we see here that CEO, who is at the top management, has most of the authority and he is at the top level. Under him there are VPs, and under the VP finance there are 2 managers, and under the marketing VP there is a manager, right? Regional manager. The superior subordinate relationship is being shown here. The authority relationship is shown. The responsibilities relationship is shown, right? So organizational structure clarifies everything which is being determined in the organizing, which is the second function of management, right? Now, principles of organizing, that is the foundations on which the organizing works, are work specialization, authority, span of control, unity of command, scalar chain and delegation. So let's understand this one by one. Work specialization, which is also called as division of labor. Now in this principle of organizing, the basic focus is on that the entire job is being separated or being divided into smaller jobs, and specific tasks are being given to employees. And how are these jobs are being allocated to the employees? The employees who have qualifications, abilities and skills to do those works are being allotted those specific tasks of a particular job, right? So each employee is trained to perform a specific task related to the specialized function of the whole work. So here a work is being divided into specialized tasks, that is smaller tasks. A complete work is being divided into smaller tasks, and these tasks are given to those employees who have the qualities, abilities, skills to perform those special tasks, right? So that is called as work specialization. Work specialization is very important for an organization, because if an organization will follow this principle, then an employee who will be performing a specific task, a particular task, he will have expertise in that role, right? And then there will be very less chances of having any flaw in his work. So ultimately the efficiency of the organization will increase, right? Then the second principle is authority. Authority means the power that is assigned to the managers to make decisions, to issue orders, and to allocate resources on behalf of the organization so that they can achieve the organizational objectives. Now, in organizational structure, we have seen that there is a top management, middle management, lower management. The top management have most of the power, that is, he has the authority. He can give instructions to his subordinates. Now, the authority is useless if management or a person doesn't have power to carry on that authority, right? So authority means the power. The actual essence of authority is having the power to make decisions, to give orders, right? So that is one of the important principle of organizing. And authority in an organization always flows from top to bottom of the hierarchy. That is, authority always flows from top to down in the hierarchy of the organizational structure. In the levels of the organizational structure, the top management will have the most of the authority. And the roles or positions at the top of the hierarchy have more formal authority than the positions at the bottom. And the extent and level of authority is defined by the job role of the managers, right? Then unity of command. Unity of command simply shows the superior subordinate relationships. Every subordinate is answerable and accountable to only one boss at a time. This is the basic funda of unity of command. Unity of command simply says that any subordinate is answerable and accountable to only one boss at a time. Right, so this helps in avoiding the communication gap and feedback, and the responses too from the subordinate to the senior and senior to the subordinate is very prompt. Now, unity of command is very important because in case if a subordinate has two bosses, then he will be having problem in deciding whose instructions and orders he should follow first, whose work he should do on priority basis, right? And this will be a very problematic situation for the subordinate. So it is being always said that when the organizational structure is formed, when the superior subordinate relationships are being formed, this principle should always be kept in mind that under one superior there can be 2 to 3 subordinates, right? As many as subordinates a superior can manage, that number of subordinate can be kept under a senior. But to every subordinate, he should be answerable to only one senior, only one superior. So if there are 3 subordinates for one boss, but only one boss is there for the subordinate, then the relationship will be very smooth. There will be no communication gap between the seniors and subordinates. That is the basic concept of unity of command. Now then comes scalar chain. Scalar chain is a chain of command or authority which flows from top to bottom. So scalar chain simply shows that in the organizational structure, what is the chain of command? That is, who has the authority, who is the superior of which subordinate. That relationship is being shown, and that is called as scalar chain, right? So within a chain of authority available, there is very less wastage of resources. Communication is very effective and overlapping of work is avoided. Now, how is this possible? Because see, when it is very clear that who is the superior, how many subordinates he has, then it is very clear for the superior to give instructions to his subordinate. And for a subordinate too, it becomes very easy to communicate to his superior. So there will be effective utilization of resources because everybody will be very clear what they have to do, what is their role, and how much resources they can use at what time for which work, right? So there will be very less wastage of the resources. As the authority flows from top to bottom, it clarifies the authority position of managers at all the levels. So in the scalar chain too, the authority position can be very clearly known, because whoever is at the top will have more authority as compared to the employee or subordinate who is at the bottom of the organizational structure, right? So whoever is lower in the organizational structure, in the hierarchy, he will have less power, less authority as compared to the one who is higher in the organizational structure, right? So that is being clarified in scalar chain. Now one shouldn't get confused between unity of command and chain of command. See, unity of command simply shows that there should be only one superior, only one boss to the subordinates, right? And the chain of command shows the entire relationship, entire organizational structure, right? That is, who is at the top position, who has the power, who are the subordinates, how much authority an individual have. Those are things are being shown in the scalar chain or chain of command, right? Now if we see this diagram here, this is an organizational structure. We see that CEO is the top management, and under CEO there are 3 general managers. Under every general manager there is 2 to 3 managers, and under every manager there are team leaders or other profiles. 3 levels of hierarchy in the organizational structure with the CEO at the top. Now this organizational structure shows the chain of command or scalar chain. How? It shows that the CEO is at the top and he has 3 general managers under him. So CEO has more power, more authority than the general managers. Now the general managers are superior to the managers. So the general manager in turn will have more power, more authority as compared to the purchasing managers, production managers and other managers. In the same way, the managers will have more power and authority as compared to the team leaders and other profiles, which are shown in the lowest hierarchy, right? We see here that every superior has 2 to 3 subordinates under them. But if we very minutely observe this organizational structure, we will get to see that every subordinate is reporting to only one senior. So this relationship of every subordinate reporting to only one senior is known as unity of command. And the entire organizational structure where the levels, the positions are shown, where the authority is shown, where the superior subordinate relationship is shown, where the flow of authority is being clarified, this is the scalar chain, right? Delegation. Delegation is a process of getting things done by others by giving them responsibilities, right? So all important decisions are taken at the top level by the board of directors. So the CEO assigns the work to the departmental managers. So here what is happening? The board of director took certain important decision, and that decision is being shared with the chief executive officers of the organization. Now the CEO will assign the work to the departmental managers. So every superior delegates the authority to subordinates for getting a particular work done. The process goes on to the level where the actual work is executed. In organization, we see that when the board of directors took a decision, they conveyed that to the CEO of the organization. The CEO assigned the work to the departmental managers. Now the departmental managers, what they do, they delegate the authority to their subordinates, right? And it is the work of the subordinate now to do the work. Okay, so because without authority it's useless, because when you have no power you won't be able to do the work, and power comes with the position. So when your superior gives you the power, then only you'll be able to do the work. That is the basic concept of delegation, right? When a particular work is being delegated to a subordinate, then along with that authority which he gets from his superior, he also gets certain responsibilities. Now the responsibilities for what? To do the work or complete the work on time with proper utilization of resources and doing no fraud work. That is the responsibility of the subordinate, to follow all these things, right? So along with authority, he also gets responsibility. Okay. Now what is span of control? Span of control depicts or shows the number of employees that can be handled and controlled effectively by a single manager. Now we discussed earlier in unity of command, that is one subordinate can have only one boss, right? And I also said at that time that a superior can have 2 to 3 subordinates under him. Now who will decide how many subordinates should be there that can be managed by a superior? That is being decided by span of control. That is what number of employees a superior can manage. That is known as span of control, right? So the span of control can be large or narrow depending upon the number of employees managed and controlled by the manager. If there are many levels of supervisions, that is there are many layers of supervisions under the manager, then the span of control is limited to shorter and the organizational structure will be very tall. If there are lesser numbers of employees to be managed by the manager, then the span of control is wide or large in the organizational structure will be flat. Now let's understand this with the help of this diagram. Now these are two organizational structures. Here the number of subordinates in taller organizational structure are less. So what is happening? There are more levels of or more layers of hierarchy in taller organizational structure, right? Because what is happening is, if there are 50 employees in an organization and we need to place these employees under superiors, and if an organization decides that under one superior there will be only 2 subordinates, so what will happen? Automatically there will be many layers of superior subordinate relationship if the span of control is less, right? So here in taller structure we see there are 5 levels of hierarchy, whereas in the flat organizational structure we see that the span of control is more, that is one superior can manage many subordinates. So automatically there are only 2 to 3 layers of hierarchy, right? So span of control speaks about the number of subordinates which can be managed by the superior. The purpose of organizing. Now, what are the purpose for which this organizing function is done? It helps in coordinating activities, right? How activities can be coordinated? Because in organizing, what is being done? The roles, responsibilities of every employee is being fixed. Now, everybody is very clear about their roles and responsibilities, what part of work they can do. So this helps in coordinating activities between each and every employee when they are very clear about their roles, right? Now the second purpose of organizing is to ensure optimum use of the resources, right? So when things are organized, when the path of the organizational structure is very clear, then there will be very effective and efficient use of the resources, because it's very clear about the roles, responsibilities of each and every employee, the authority responsibility relationship, the superior subordinate relationship, right? So you can very easily fix the accountability of each and every employee. Now the purpose of organizing is also to cluster jobs into units, that is the jobs are being clusters into units, and here a sub relationship is being developed among the individual groups, right? And the final purpose of organizing is stability of the organization. Now the steps which are involved in process of organizing. The first step is identification of activities. There are 6 steps and we will see each of them one by one in details. Now, identification of activity is the first stage of organizing. Here the manager identifies and determines those activities that are to be performed for achieving organizational work. Now, I have discussed this initially that organizing is the second function of management. The first function is planning. So in planning, the organization decides where they are and where they want to reach in future. That is, in future, what are the goals, objectives they want to achieve. When the goals and objectives are being set in the planning part, now in the organizing, those roles, those activities are to be determined which will help the organization in achieving those goals, right? After determination and identification of the activities which are required to achieve the organizational goals, then they are divided and subdivided into smaller components known as tasks, right? So here division of work is done. So in the first step, those roles, those tasks are being decided which will help in achieving the organizational goals. In the second step, those activities are being divided into smaller parts, right? Now this is called as division of labor or work specialization, which we have discussed earlier. Okay, now the third step is grouping of jobs. When the jobs are being divided into smaller parts, those jobs which are similar in their work are being grouped together. Okay, so once the activities have been broken into smaller elements, those are put into various groups on the basis of their relationships and similarities. So for example, each job and tasks related to production is to be grouped up in the production group, right? So here basically what is done, a bigger tasks is being identified in the first step. In the second step, those tasks are being broken down, which is called as work specialization. Then in third, all the tasks of similar nature are being grouped together, right, in grouping of jobs. Then in the fourth step, assigning of activities. So here the activities are assigned to various departments, which is followed by giving them adequate rights so that they can perform assigned work in a satisfactory manner. Okay, so now the activities are seen, they are being divided as per the specialization into smaller parts, then they are grouped into similar categories, then they are being given to different departments. Like I discussed earlier, the production work is being grouped together and it is being given to the production department, and the production department is also given those rights, those authorities which they require to do their work in the organization. Everything which we are talking about is in the context of an organization, right? Now the next step is establishing authority and responsibility. The authority and responsibility are granted to the process of delegation. Now this word delegation also we have discussed previously, right? So in this process, the higher level manager gives some of his rights in the favor of other who become his subordinates, right? So what is delegation? Delegation means giving authority to the subordinates by the superior so that the subordinate can do the work. So when the superior wants his work to be done by the subordinate and he gives the subordinate certain authority, that is called as delegation. So when the activities are decided, departments are being made accordingly, authority is being given, then the subordinate superior relationship is being formed and the subordinates are being given authority by their superior to do the work, right? And finally, coordination of activities. In this process of organizing, attempts are made for coordinating works of individual with respective departments, and finally to coordinate the functioning of various departments towards achievement of the organizational goals. Let's move to importance of organizing. It's said that organizing provides framework to perform management functions. So, and what are the management functions? The first, we discussed is planning. The second one is organizing. And organizing here is providing the framework for other management functions, which are directing, leading, controlling, right? So the organizational structure provides a framework to the relationship of superiors and subordinates, which is created by organizing process through the manager's plan, directs and controls every activities of his subordinates, right? So when the structure is very clear, when this organizational structure is clear, the roles and responsibilities are very clear, then it becomes very easy for the management to carry on with other functions of the management. So this is one of the important function of organizing. Now the second important function is it facilitates adaptation. By making necessary changes in the organizing process, organizational structure and goals, an organization can cope up with the changes. Now we have discussed about this change in context to the business environment, right? We have discussed earlier in my previous videos also have discussed that an organization has business environment, right? What are business environment? Those factors which can affect the organization, affect the business, is called as business environment. And it can be external or internal to the organization. And if there are changes in this business environment, then an intelligent organization should always make changes accordingly. If they do not change according to the demand of the business environment, then this will hamper the business very badly. This can be adapted in an organization if the structure is very clear, if the organizational structure is clear. If the organizational structure is not clear, if the organizing process is not clear, if the organizational goals are not clear, then to make such changes will be very tough for the organization and the management, right? So organizing helps in facilitating adaptation. Now, group behavior. An organization is a composition of people. The success of an organization depends upon the behavior of people and the group. So the group behavior has given birth to teamwork, which has been accepted as the most effective form of organization, right? So organizing helps in group behavior. It also helps in coordination. In organizing, the activities performed by an individual employee are related to the functioning of his department, and then functioning of various departments is harmonized for seeking common goals, right? So organizing helps in coordination, because in organizing the activities are being aligned together, the departmental works are being aligned together. It's being clearly shown that the superior subordinate relationship, okay? Then organizing increases clarity of authority and responsibility. The chain of command, unity of command, everything, when it is being followed in an organizational structure, the authority and responsibility relationship is being clearly depicted in the organizational structure diagrammatically, right? So this gives an employee clear idea of what they are expected to perform and within what limits of authority they have to perform it. So the hierarchy of the position defines the lines of communication and pattern of relationships, right? And the final one is division of work. Organization includes breaking up of the entire work into different segments. These different segments of work are then assigned to different people. This brings in division of labor. So the division of labor leads to specialization in different activities, which is very necessary to improve one's efficiency, right? So these are the importance of organizing, because these all things are being followed while an organization performs the second management function of organizing, right? So with this, we come to the end of this topic. In my second video, I'll be talking about organizational structure, that is formal and informal organizational structure. So do like and subscribe my channel, which is Simplified Basic Concepts. Thank you.